Hey, what's going on, everybody? Moonshine here. Figured I'd do something a little different, a little diversion from the metal and wrestling talk. I figured I'd do a little video on some of my favorite movies that I've seen over the years. I'm a big movie buff. I watch a lot of movies when I'm not working the tremendous amount of hours that I work and long hours, long days, and all that. I like to unwind by uh, watching a lot of movies, like horrors, comedy, like a lot of old school B movies. A lot of old 80s exploitation films, 70s exploitation films, stuff like that. A lot of stuff with pimps and hookers and things like that. It makes me laugh. But anyhow, I just figured let's get into it and figure I'll show you a couple things that are amongst my favorites. It's not really a top 10 or anything like that. I'm just showing a few things that if you've never seen them, check them out. If you have seen them, let me know, comment down below, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first one is Return of the Living Dead. This one, to me, is a classic. I'm not a huge fan of zombie movies, but this one's probably my favorite. I always remember watching growing up as a kid during the Halloween season. It was always fun to see on television. But it's from 1985. It's got a lot of B movie people. If you watch a lot of B movies, you'd be familiar with them. Clu Gallagher is one of the main ones. James Karen, Linnea Quigley, who was like the it scream queen back in the 80s. She was in a ton of things. Night of the Demons. There's one. I'm trying to think of this series. Vice Academy. It's another real cheesy series of movies that they did, but she was in the first couple with Ginger Lynn, who she was a porn chick in the 80s. She started transitioning into movies, but she only really made it into the B stuff. But anyhow, so Linnea Quigley's in a lot of different things. She's real famous in this because she got naked and in a graveyard, and then she gets ripped apart by zombies towards the end. But it's a real fun movie, typical zombie fare. Find a canister of this toxic gas that the army left behind. It leaks, gets up into the air, starts creating zombies. Yada yada blah blah. That's and then it's a fun popcorn flick. If you've never seen it, check it out. It's super cool. It's as far as zombie movies go, it's probably my favorite. They made two more after it, and they're good too. They're definitely they're not as good as this one, but they're definitely really cool. The second one stands out because being metalhead and music fan and all that. There's an Anthrax song in it, so that always stood out to me over the years. Is that and but yeah, anyhow, so that's one. Check that out if you get a chance. If you've never seen it, and if you have, watch it again because it's awesome. Uh, Second one is Flash Gordon from 1980. This one is another. It's fantastic. It's a very very campy movie. I don't think it did very well at the time, but it's awesome. A lot of people probably know it with Queen doing the soundtrack. The soundtrack's amazing. Uh, it's got Sam Jones. He's really not known for much other than this and Ted. After they did the thing in the Ted movies with the obsession with Flash Gordon, Max von Sydow as Ming is awesome. I mean, he's a fantastic actor. You can't go wrong with anything that he does. Everything he does is amazing. He just like they say in the film business, he chews the scenery up and everything that he does, and he's amazing in this. Uh, I can't remember if it's this one or it's Conan that he did, where I think one of the either someone in his family, either a son or grandson or somebody, talked him into doing it because he was so into either the Flash Gordon or the Conans. But either way, he's in both movies and he's fantastic in both of them. It's basically about the old Flash Gordon series from the 20s, 30s. I'm probably screwing that up, getting it wrong, but either way, people know it, and it's great. Brian Blessed is in it. He actually just did a voiceover in the new Saxon album, which is tremendous. But he's Voltan, I want to say is his name in this. He's the leader of the Hawk people. Timothy Dalton's in it. He plays Prince Baron. This guy Topol, I think his name is. He was in Fiddler on the Roof, which I've never seen, but I know it's a well-known movie. He was in it. It's a fantastic movie, fantasy flick, tremendous. Predates all the superhero shit that came out over the years. I encourage anybody to watch it. It's amazing. the scenery, the wardrobe on it, just the colors and just the over the top cartoonish nature of it. It's a fantastic film. You know, it gets two fists in the air, four horns. You know, whatever you want to say. It's great. So that's another one. Flash Gordon. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Next one up is They Live by John Carpenter. This one was from 1988. Stars Roddy Piper, Keith David, Meg Foster, who's another very famous B movie actress. She did Masters of the Universe was another one she's in. I just saw a full moon feature that she was in called Oblivion. Which is kind of cheesy. I've been trying to watch it for 3 days, and each time I watch it, I fall asleep watching it. So that might tell you how good it is. Uh, but the movie's fantastic. It kind of gets into the kind of lizard people conspiracy theories, extraterrestrials living amongst us, ruling society, that sort of thing. It's a fantastic movie. It's got a very famous fight scene in it that some people think is cartoonishly too long, but it's great. I mean, it's just a fantastic movie. This was right when Roddy Piper got out of wrestling and he transitioned into filmmaking, and he's amazing in this. I mean, as far as a lot of the wrestlers back in the day who tried to transition into films, this is probably the best one, the best body of work that anyone could have had. He did a couple more after this that were pretty good. Hell Comes to Frogtown, one or two others. I know he's in It's Always Sunny, a few episodes in that. But this is probably his best work as far as doing films. And I'm sure most people, if you're watching this, you're one of the five people watching this, you know about They Live. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. If you have, watch it again, because again, another one. It's amazing. Can't go wrong with it. The next one I wanted to do was another John Carpenter film, Prince of Darkness. This one's another amazing one. It's from 1987. It's got Donald Pleasance from Halloween, Victor Wong, who was in Big Trouble in Little China. There's a couple other people who you probably recognize from if you watch enough John Carpenter films. You'll recognize a lot of the characters, a lot of the support cast in it. A lot of them do a lot of his other movies. I can't think of the one Asian fella. He's in Big Trouble. He co-starred with Kurt Russell in that as one of the heroes. It's another fantastic movie, by the way. If you've never seen it, check that one out. It's good fantasy flick. But this one, this used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid. And Alice Cooper's also in this, by the way, as an aside. But it's fantastic. It's about there's an order called the Brotherhood of Sleep, which, little sidebar, was something that Down used to use on one of their T-shirts back in the day. Did the first album, the Nolo. They had the logo on the front, and then on the back, Brotherhood of the Sleep. And I had that at one point, but I think I grew out of it or something happened to it, so the shirt went away. But either way, that being said, and there's a cylinder that is filled with this mysterious liquid. They get a bunch of college students, physicists, and whatnot to try to examine it. Turns out it contains the son of Satan, and then it gets into more like highbrow is probably a poor way of saying it, but a lot of philosophical stuff, spiritual, gets into physics and matter and antimatter. It turns out that the antimatter, that the anti-god is he's the root of all evil, and he's trying to enter our world, and the liquid possesses people, and then their whole goal is to try to bring the anti-god into the world to destroy all of existence. So that part of it's real fascinating. But the movie as a whole, it's tremendous. Like I say, it used to scare the shit out of me when I was a kid, but now I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's also part of what is considered the Apocalypse trilogy that John Carpenter did, which I wasn't really going to mention this, but I figured, well, what the hell? It's pertinent. So that's also The Thing from 1982, classic. I'm sure most everybody's seen this. It's a remake of Thing from Another World. It's a fantastic movie. I can't the Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, everybody in the cast is amazing. Do a great job. The effects in it are tremendous. It just blew me away when I was a kid. Like, it was just fantastic, the stuff they did, and always stuck with me. It's one of my favorites. And then the third one was In the Mouth of Madness, if you can see that. This one was another good one. That was from da, 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 '94. Stars Sam Neill. He plays a private investigator looking for this horror journalist named Sutter Kane. He goes to a small town. Nobody's ever heard of him. It just kind of it's an H.P. Lovecraft adaptation, excuse me, and it goes into like him slowly but surely losing his mind as the movie progresses. And Sam Neill's fantastic. A lot of people only know him from Jurassic Park, but he was in a ton of horror movies. He was in Event Horizon. He was in this one I just saw recently. It was called Possession from 1981. That's a messed up movie. I actually found it because I was listening to a band named Cultus de Gulas, and one of their songs, "The Impure Wedding," they had this long outro that's a sample from Possession. So I went on, did an internet search, found the sample, found where the movie was from, found what movie they took it from, watched the movie, and it's messed up. I would definitely, I'd recommend that. He's in it. It's just, it's a bizarre movie, but it's definitely worth watching if you like horror, you like messed up movies, like with just, it's good. Check it out. I don't want to ruin it, but that one's another one I'd recommend to people. And he was in The Omen 3. He played Lucifer and Damien, I should say, and he was great in that. There was actually another metal related sidebar. They had he does a monologue in the movie towards the end, and they sample it in an Iced Earth song, excuse me, and the title of the song is escaping me right now. I think it's actually they do on Horror Show. They do the Damien is the name of the song, and I think they sample that whole monologue from that scene. So that's killer, So he's a killer actor. He's like horror movie royalty, but everybody knows him from Jurassic Park. So what are you gonna do? So check that one out. Check all three of those out. They're fantastic. I recommend those thoroughly. They get the seal of approval. Whatever that's worth, they get my approval. Anyhow, the next one. This one is from 1985. Death Wish 3. All the Death Wish movies, all the Bronson movies are fantastic. You can't go wrong with those. They're phenomenal. They're just way. The first one is a little bit more, I'd say, cerebral, but then when they get into Death Wish 3, it's just over the top. It's cartoonish. They got this weird, crazy ass gang with stupid insignias painted on their foreheads. The guy's like freaking, he's got the Friar Tuck balding head and all that sort of stuff, but they're all running around just causing havoc everywhere they go, robbing people, raping people, murdering people, all that sort of stuff. And it's ridiculous. It's over the top. And then Bronson, he shows up. He's going to go stay with his buddy. And of course, anyone who gets close to Bronson in any of these Death Wish movies always dies. So he ends up going on a rampage. He gets arrested. Uh, Ed Ed Lauder, his name is. He's in a lot of movies. He's a character actor who a lot of people will recognize if you've seen enough movies. He plays a police captain, I want to say. He figures out who Bronson's character Paul Kersey is, and then he lets him loose on the city, and he just starts imposing vigilante justice through the whole movie. It crescendos into one of the most ridiculous final scenes in the history of mankind. This is a Canon film. Golden Globus also produced it, and they were. Canon Films has a history of making just ridiculous, over the top films, especially in the 80s and a little bit into the 90s. A lot of them are tremendous. I would recommend looking in the history of Canon Films and a lot of the films that they made over that period of time. They're fantastic. The Golden Globus years, it's amazing. You can't go wrong. If you're a B movie fan, it's stuff that I recommend to anybody. There's like The Barbarians, Masters of the Universe, which I just mentioned earlier. The Death Wish 3. There's so many of them. But those are a few. But check them out. You can't go wrong with them. So that's another one. And then to round it out, guilty pleasure of mine. If I continue doing videos and get more views. By the way, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Got to get these numbers up. It's kind of sucks. It's kind of boring ranting or raving to like 5 people. But if we get more people watching this stuff, then I'll do more. I'm gonna do more anyway. It's just fun for me. But anyhow, uh, this one is Orgasmo. It's one of my favorite comedies. It's made by Trey Parker and Matt Stone from South Park. It's a fish out of water tale about a Mormon who goes to California to spread the word and instead winds up in a porno movie. And it goes from there. He plays the lead in a movie called Orgasmo, which he plays a sex superhero. And he uses all these. He and his sidekick Chota Boy, which is a guy Dean Bakar, who is from if you watch any of the movies that Trey Parker and Matt Stone did, he was in Basketball as Squeaks Galari. I want to say his name is. Sorry, I'm shaking the table. And it's a fun movie. It's got a lot of porn people in it, of course, because it's like a porn parody of sorts. And it goes from the fish out of water tale to then it becomes kind of a crime fighting kung fu flick. And probably one day I'd like to do a deeper dive on it because it's a wild movie. And the South Park guys, it's a fun flick. If you've never seen it, never heard of it, I would check it out. It's very underrated. To me, it's a classic. Me and my buddies, my a couple of my wrestling buddies, we used to nab a couple of things from the movie and we would do them before our matches and like kind of a side note, side story. There's a thing they do in the movie that we stole, and it was always our big vision that when we all became rich and famous wrestlers, that we would do that on TV, and it would be one of these things that we knew about it, just like a little nod to each other. But of course, that never happened. None of us ever made it onto TV. We weren't good enough, popular enough, or marketable enough. So yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's a few movies that I wanted to mention to people. I just figured I'd do something different rather than just completely talking about wrestling and metal and a couple of other things. But I'm going to continue to do that. I got a couple more things lined up down in the queue. Going to finish talking about my time spent in Malenko's. I'm gonna do that probably soon. It's I got the night off tonight, so I just figured I'd do this, and then I might do that. I might not. We'll see. But anyhow, that's that. Hope everyone enjoys this. If you do, do all the things I tell you to do in the YouTubes, and share it if you like. If you don't, then that's cool too. Either way, I will talk with you soon. Thanks for watching. Later.